And joining us from Washington is Ms. Ginger Chapman, a lawyer and political analyst. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We were meant to talk about something else, but due to what's happening right now in the south of Lebanon, we're going to get your take here on the escalation that took place. How do you view the most recent escalation in southern Lebanon? Isn't there supposed to be a ceasefire in place right now? Why are the Israelis targeting senior members of Hezbollah?
Yes, well, first, thank you for having me today and greetings to your viewers. And what we see is that Israel has never actually honored the ceasefire in Lebanon. They have continued to carry out airstrikes and continued to target senior Hezbollah members. And so essentially, we're seeing Israel appears to be backed into a corner with respect to the introduction of an international stabilization force in Gaza. Israel is very much opposed to boots on the ground there that will interfere with their operations. They essentially want an international force to demilitarize and disarm their opponents and do the work they cannot do. And with respect to Lebanon, we have seen over the past few months that Israeli settlers have been moving into southern Lebanon. We've seen the ongoing bombing of and airstrikes on homes and residences under the pretext that these are hideouts or weapons stores for Hezbollah. And we've even seen Prime Minister Netanyahu making tours of Syria and acting as though he has already conquered and annexed these lands for Israel. And also, most importantly, we see that Israel is moving their boundary line into further into Lebanon. So this is a land
they're
grab.
Building right now. How is that
Israel's
even possible?
Way of trying to acquire and take more land under the pretext of disarming Hezbollah.
Okay, how will this ceasefire actually hold, given the numerous, we've seen for the last year numerous violations of the ceasefire, but this is quite big. If they had targeted, or they were able to actually target a senior member of Hezbollah, wouldn't there be a response expected and that the ceasefire would basically be disintegrated? Ginger, I'm not sure if you can hear me. If you can, let me repeat my question for you. Do you think that, given the severe nature of this recent strike, that this ceasefire may possibly disintegrate? And we're going to try to fix the technical problem there, but let me just talk a bit about the footage that we're seeing from the earlier strikes of southern suburbs in Beirut, Lebanon. As you can see, it's quite a big strike in a densely populated area, residential area. I'm sure the casualties there are going to be high. The numbers are still yet to be confirmed. But again, the Israelis have violated the ceasefire numerous times since it took effect last year in 2024, and they keep pressuring this other side into disarming. They continue to violate the ceasefire. We're also seeing that since the ceasefire, more than 330 people were killed in the violations of the ceasefire by the Israelis. Lebanese people were killed there. And they also have managed to invade parts of Lebanon, building a wall that has angered the Lebanese people. I think we have Ginger with us again. Hopefully you can hear me this time. Is the sound okay?
Yes, now I can hear you, Rayhan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Let me ask you now, given the nature of this strike, it's quite big. Do you think that the ceasefire will hold, or is it going to disintegrate?
Well, technically, the ceasefire is not holding. What remains to be seen is whether Hezbollah can mount a defense and whether the government of Lebanon will actually stand behind Hezbollah, or whether the government of Lebanon is going to continue stating that they do wish to disarm
Hmm.
Hezbollah. However, they do not have the means. What we do know is that Israel has increased their aggression on the southern border. It has become more difficult for the state of Lebanon to persuade Hezbollah to disarm, because at this point, Hezbollah is seen as the only protection that the citizens of Lebanon have against Israeli aggression.
So, do you think that this could possibly be a pretext for a ground invasion by the Israelis, especially given, the newly built wall that they've erected in the south of Lebanon?
Well, we do know that Bibi Netanyahu and his government view the Trump administration as very lenient with them. Netanyahu believes that he can get away with more under Trump than under previous administrations. So Netanyahu is trying to use this opportunity to seize as much land and as much power as he can from his neighbors, while he has Donald Trump in office backing him. We know that Trump is adverse to increased military conflict, but at the same time, Trump appears unable to control Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm. So the question here is, do you think that this represents some sort of fundamental shift in the rules of engagement, given the nature of this operation and that they targeted Beirut? This is new in the list here.
Yes, well, we know that Israel previously, when they conducted airstrikes on Syria, they actually bombed the presidential palace, which is unheard of in warfare, to bomb administrative government buildings that are there to help negotiate peace. We know that Israel's bombing of Beirut is a sign of increased aggression. We know that Netanyahu and his hardliners believe that right now they can get away with
Mm.
more under the Trump administration than previously. So it appears that Israel is going all out. This appears to be their opportunity to neutralize and disarm their perceived enemies. They're striking at Beirut. We know they have no compunctions about striking on previously forbidden areas. For example, they struck Doha, where America's largest military base in the Middle East is. So they struck Doha. They struck Iran during an inauguration ceremony to kill one of the leaders of Hezbollah. They have struck the
Mm-hmm.
presidential palace in Syria. So Israel is on a path of increased aggression. This
The,
is because they're more desperate now. They're desperate over events in Gaza are getting out of their control, and they want to seize as much land and power as they can now
but
while they
are
believe
they
they can
are they
get away with
desperate,
it.
or are they just emboldened, as you've said, that uh, President Trump has been quite lenient with them and that they've been given free rein to do as they will?
Yes, actually, Rayhan, that is an excellent characterization. They are emboldened. You are accurate. They're emboldened and taking greater military action. But at the same time, they are also increasingly desperate. And this is because they see that American sentiment is turning against them. There is a very big battle in America right now between Americans who believe that Trump is Israel first and the Israel first crowd. So, right now in America, there's a big civil war over the power that Israel has over our administration against ordinary Americans who no longer want to give all of our money, billions of dollars to Israel, no longer want to be complicit in genocide. So Israel is getting desperate because they're losing the support of the American people, but they are emboldened because Trump is letting them get away with more than they normally would be able to.
Mm-hmm. If we could discuss Hezbollah's possible response, in the past it was a tit-for-tat situation before the ceasefire, but in this case, do you think the expectation is there will be some sort of aggressive response from Hezbollah, or are they just going to sort of ask for international mediators to intervene in some form?
Well, we do know that Hezbollah is weakened. We know that their support from the state is, on one hand, the state wants some type of uh, armed resistance against Israeli aggression. On the other hand, the government of Lebanon wants to comply with American wishes and wants a broader peace.
Mm-hmm.
So, it remains unclear what Hezbollah and the state of Lebanon will do. Hezbollah is weakened, however, they are regrouping. It appears there may not be much that they can do at this time. They may have to appeal to international sympathies, but at the same time, international sentiment is turning against Israel, and with all of their airstrikes, more countries are realizing that Israel is the aggressor. Israel is actually conducting the terrorist operations. They are not defending themselves against terrorist operations. So,
So, what about the Israeli tactic? Do you think that they could possibly be also striking Hezbollah to somehow destabilize Lebanon internally and increase the sense of internal strife between the Lebanese government and Hezbollah? Because there's always a fear of civil war. This is something that they've discussed that could possibly trigger ghosts of the past.
well, this is a common Israeli strategy where their first moves are to destabilize the state, to divide the population against the government, against Hezbollah, and divide the population against each other. And when the population is divided and destabilized, that's when Israel goes in and makes their move. And they frequently position themselves. The pretext is they are defending themselves, or they are defending a isolated population such as the Druze in Syria. So we are going to see more Israeli aggression.
Mm-hmm.
This is their game plan right now. They are emboldened, as you pointed out, and they are making many moves. They're expanding in Syria. They're expanding violently in the West Bank.
Mm-hmm.
They are entrenching themselves in the Green Zone in Gaza. And yes, they are more aggressive against Lebanon. And this is all against the backdrop of their ongoing main goal, which is to destabilize and take over Iran. So Israel is, as Netanyahu has said, they are fighting a war on 7 fronts. They feel that this is their opportunity to make their most advances. They believe they have Donald Trump in their pocket. At the same time, the American and the international community is turning against them.
Well, my question here as well is like the Pope Leo is expected to go visit Lebanon at the end of this month. Do you think that's still going to happen? And if it does, do you think the Israelis may possibly pause the aggression against the Lebanese given this, very important visit by the Pope?
Well, we do know that the Pope is very sympathetic to the rights of indigenous people. And in fact, one of Israeli's strategies might be to make conditions on the ground so violent that the Pope or other visiting dignitaries cannot go and see for themselves. For Israel, the worst thing is sunlight shining on their actions. They wish for their actions to be shrouded. If the world knows what they are doing, then the world's sentiment turns against them. We do see that America's envoy, Tom Barak, has gone to Lebanon, and even though he claims his family has Lebanese roots, he has been very dismissive of the people of Lebanon themselves and very much adhered to the official American position, which is that Israel is just defending themselves. The Pope's visit would be very important because we know the Pope is sympathetic to the rights of vulnerable, downtrodden, oppressed people, all of which we see the people of Lebanon are suffering under continued Israeli airstrikes and war. So the one thing that Israel wants more than anything is to keep the world out, to control the narrative, to control the images, and to control the propaganda, the hasbara that is coming out of the Middle East in order to sway public opinion. However, this is no longer working.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Ginger Chapman, a lawyer and political analyst. Thank you for your insights and thank you for joining us here.